Hey y'all. We are starting our March live Q&A. My name is Rachel Leah Gerson. I own Doorway to Self and I'm a metaphysical practitioner there. I combine counseling techniques with psychic tools to help you understand who you are, how you work, how the world around you works, and how it affects you. I am going to close this curtain just slightly because this is just awkward on my face. Okay, that's much better. So as you can see, my plants are not behind me. I am going live from my grandparents' house where I have been dwelling for the last 3 weeks. And they actually just got home last night. So I've been spending a little bit of time with them today while I have been working just on my computer at home and stuff. So that's what's going on, just so y'all know. And so if you hear any like funny noises or whatever, they tend to be a little bit loud. So they're watching the news right now, but if they come in, I am in their room because my grandma's so cute. She's like, well, that one has the best lighting, so just use our room. And I'm like, no, I'll use a different room. She's like, no, it has the best lighting. Go to our room. I'm like, all right, Grandma, you know a little bit about this filming camera stuff. So let's see. Hi, Anna. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for coming on. Cool. Oh, yeah. See, the dog's already like, let me in. He's like scratching at the door. I told my grandma to leave him in here. And she's like, no, because your uncle's coming and he's going to go crazy. And yeah, so we might just hear him scratching at the door the whole time. So that's how that's going to happen. There it is again. Okay, so we're going to get this started. And actually, I might just let him in and then I'll let him out if it gets crazy. You want to come in, babe? You want to come in? You can come in. Okay, well, then you're staying out. You want it? You want it? You want? Oh, good boy. Okay, you have to be good. Okay, this is Mac, guys. He's going to come chill with us. He's like, oh my gosh, psychic stuff is happening, and I need to be in on it, right? Yeah, did you miss me while you were laying out there? Yes, you did. Okay. All right, Mac, but I need you to let Oh, this is going to be a great one, guys. This is going to be real interesting. You're just going to be watching me over the dog the whole time. So I'm going to start actually with a question that I got just today. So for those of you guys who don't know how this works, this live Q&A thing, like having to position myself over the dog. Matt, come here. Come on over this way. Good boy. Lay down. Good boy. That's much better. Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know how this works, if you have any questions whatsoever, you're welcome to pop them into the comment box, whether you're on Facebook Live or Instagram Live, and I will get to it as soon as I'm done answering whatever the question was prior. I'll do my best to answer things live. I don't have the answers to everything in the universe, so you know, I'll answer what I can, and when I don't, I will let you know. And I think that's a really important trait when you're working with any practitioner. If they pretend to know things when they don't, that's like the biggest red flag ever. Run away now. Go. Do not see them. Do not work with them. So the question I got today was an anonymous question. And if you have anonymous questions, you are more than welcome to email them to me or DM them or PM them. I will not get to them tonight because I won't be able to check those things while I'm on live. But I will be able to stow them away for the next live psychic Q&A, which is actually going to be happening on the 29th of April at 8 p.m. It is a Monday. You guys decided that you liked that 8 p.m. time a little bit better than the 6 p.m. time. This one was already scheduled, so I went with it, but next time I will be doing 8 p.m. on April the 29th, which is a Monday. So we're going to be doing that. Anywho, mark your calendars. The question I got today, which was an anonymous question, was, what is karmic debt and how do we know if we're clearing it? So this is huge, and this is likely something that's been coming up for people as of late. The last huge astrological cycle that we just went through and we're still really feeling the residue of is this huge culmination of so many things, and you can find the articles explaining all of it on doorwaytoself.com/blog. But basically, this full supermoon in Libra, which was now, let's see, almost 2 weeks ago on Wednesday. Hey, thanks for joining. That coupled with the equinox really gave us some huge balancing energies, right? And people think, oh, balance, that's so nice, right? But in order to balance things, sometimes we have to feel the extremes in order to be able to find the middle. That's why so many people are like, oh my gosh, you're a Libra, you must be really balanced. But no, like most Libras, if they haven't done what's called evolve, right? If they haven't evolved, they're like all over the place, like every extreme ever. So we see a lot of people who have a ton of Libra in their chart with diagnoses of bipolar disorder or borderline personality disorder, things like that. Hey, Rihanna, thanks for coming on. I'm doing well, thanks. I hope you are too. So we're talking about karmic debt. Karmic debt. Wow, Rachel, speaking is a thing on this earthly plane. So the reason why I mentioned this cycle, this full moon in Libra and the equinox, is because a lot of what it was doing was trudging up a ton of big past stuff, because it was all about what do we need to move through or let go of in order to move forward? Like, what do we need to leave behind from our past to move to our future? And it has not just been passed in this lifetime, it's been passed in generations. So like uplifting stuff from our DNA that's not serving us right now. And it's also been stuff from past lives as well. So I've seen a lot of like really random like friendships ending, or people meeting who like very clearly have like a karmic lesson to learn or a karmic connection. I want to explain this thing about karma, right? Because we hear it in the hippy dippy sense of like, oh, good karma, man, you know, and they're like wearing their patchouli and like whatever. And it's just like this, oh yeah, man, peace, no karma, like no bad karma. And so I think it's become like a very colloquial thing that's not really understood. Hey, Jen, thanks for coming on. So, oh, and Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay. So here's the thing is karmic debt, when you think of energy, right? We're going to go to science here. When you think of energy, energy is neither created nor destroyed. That is a law of physics. It is an absolute law of the universe. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, which means that as human beings, we are energy, right? That's the only reason my hands are moving. It's the only reason my mouth is moving. It's the only reason my soul can breathe, right? As humans, we are energy, which means that we can neither be created nor destroyed. Well, you think, okay, well, that's not true because babies are created and then we die. And so isn't that creation and destruction? Not really, because, you know, we're coming from somewhere, right? Like the energy is moving from being a sperm and an egg into other beings, into being us. And that's just the physical manifestation, right? That's just the physical creation. So what lives within this physical container, that also can neither be created nor destroyed. It has to come from somewhere and it has to go somewhere. So my personal theory about that, and if your religious beliefs dictate otherwise, I'm not going to take that away from you. This is not a religious practice. So if this makes you uncomfortable, that's totally okay. And I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to discard your beliefs or disregard your beliefs because, you know, that's for you to have, and that's important. But the belief system that I'm coming from is that because we're neither created nor destroyed, we have to consistently be finding other vessels to be in order to continue the movement, right? And continue the motion. In which case we are reinvented throughout lifetimes. And what that might look like is any life, right? Because energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So maybe we might come back as a tree, and maybe we might come back as an elephant, and maybe we might come back as another human being. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's life, it's energy, and that life force energy is what continues to have us move on and on and on and on and on. So, yeah, that's how karmic debt happens, because we live all of these lifetimes. And if you think of the moment when life happened on this planet or in this universe, we don't even know where life exists in this universe other than on this planet, right? If we think about all of the life in the universe, how many lifetimes could we possibly have lived? Like, that's a lot. And so that's a lot of memories. We're only using 10% of our human brain. What's in the other 90%, right? We are storing all of these memories from all of these different lifetimes. And sometimes what that means is when we're having interactions with other people who we had interactions with in those other lifetimes, it can kind of like stimulate the energetic memory of that stuff. So as far as like karmic debt goes, that would be when you had a relationship with someone or something. It could also be an animal or a plant or something like that. You had a relationship with someone or something in another lifetime where you did not end in a way where the strings were tied into a nice little bow, right? Your lifetime or their lifetime ended, or your lifetime together, right? Maybe you went separate ways or something. Your lifetime together in that lifetime was not, there was no closure in that lifetime. And so in this lifetime, if you have karmic debt, it means that you are needing closure with them, or you are needing to give them closure, right? So either you're needing for them to give you closure, or you're needing to give them closure, or it could happen both ways, right? You're needing to have closure together. So that is what karmic debt is. And then the question after that is, how do we know if we are clearing it? So the first thing you can do is test yourself. So firstly, actually, before I even go to how do I know, I think it's important to answer, how do I clear it? So there are several different ways for this. The first way would obviously be like the actual physical way of communicating with this energetic being and saying, you know what, I'm feeling like there's something off here. Can we please go both just get on the same page and do what needs to be done to heal this situation? And you'd be surprised, there are some times where people are super open to that, and they're like, oh my gosh, you know what, I'm feeling that too. And yeah, let's work together to do this, right? We see that a lot of the time in like couples counseling or family counseling, or like if friends have some sort of tizzy and then they like get back together and they're like, well, we should probably like hash all this out first before we like recommit to being friends and trying to jump into trusting each other again. You know, things like that, where there's a reason to kind of like work on it or work it out. It's a little bit more rare to see that with just like random people, but it does happen as well. So that's the first way, is just communicate, right? It's super simple. Just communicate and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling, this is how I'm feeling, and this is what I would like to do about it. And I want to know if you're on the same page and if you're open to doing something like that. And then see what they answer. And if they answer no, then what do you do, right? Because there are so many times where on this physical plane, we just don't get what we think we want. So then we have to go to the energetic plane. And so that's when you can start meditating and asking for permission to talk to their higher self from your higher self, right? So you're connecting with your higher self first. You're making sure that this is in your highest good too, because a lot of the time karmic debt can present as almost like an addiction, right? Like almost like you're addicted to the person that you are trying to kind of make amends with or whatever it is. And so making sure it's in your highest good and making sure that, are you actually seeking closure here, or are you seeking a reason to have communication with this person? Like, is this just an excuse to be able to communicate with this person? Or is this like a for real thing that is actually in your best interest, their best interest, in both of your highest goods? So that's first and foremost. Really, really, you have to be so honest with yourself with that question. And that can be really difficult. Hi, Jess. Thanks for coming on. So that's that, right? If you get a yes answer to that and your higher self and their higher self are like, go for it, do it. Like, let's make amends. A lot of the time, that's all you need to do is just reach out and say like, I forgive you, or ask for forgiveness, or sometimes even like hashing out the issue, talking about it out loud. It might sound really stupid, right? A lot of the time we think about like, oh, I sound like I'm talking to myself, or I don't want to, just talk to no one or whatever. But when you think about energy, the way that energy flows, if you are energetically communicating with their higher self, then when you verbalize things and they go through your vocal cords, which are vibrating them, and vibration is frequency, and then your frequency is touching their frequency, right? Then that can be a really powerful act to really set that into motion. So verbalizing and saying, I'm sorry, I ask for forgiveness from you, or I forgive you for XYZ. So that's another really good way to clear karmic debt. A third way would be cord cutting. So if you ask your higher self or their higher self and you're like, can we make amends? Can we clean things up? Can we, whatever? And you get a definite no, because this is more of like an addictive type, you're looking for excuses to connect with this person, then that's the time to cut cords. I've talked about energy cords a few other times, so you can find what those are in past videos. If you go to YouTube and type in Doorway to Self Psychic Q&A, past months will come up, and I'll do this for this video as well, but I detail out all of the questions with the minute markers. So you can just click on the minute the question that you want. So like if it's what are energy cords at 14 minutes and 6 seconds, you can click 14 minutes and 6 seconds next to the question, and it'll bring you right to that spot in that video, and you can watch the answer. So yeah, cutting cords, because then that is like a clean cut. If it is more of an addictive quality relationship, energetically on your end, or on their end, or on both, then that cord may continue to grow back time and time again until you learn the lesson that you're supposed to learn from that person. And that brings me to the last way to clear is just to allow, right? Just to allow space for those lessons to come in, because that's what karmic debt happens for. It happens so that we can learn the lessons that we need to in order to continue to grow in the ways that we're needing to in this lifetime. So yeah. And then how do you know if you've cleared karmic debt? Well, a couple different ways. One would be that you've learned the lesson, right? And it's very clear to you, like, oh yeah, okay, this is no longer a thing anymore. I know why this person came into my life. I get it now, and this is cleared, okay? So that's one. Like, it's just an innate knowing. It's a claircognizant knowing, right? Claircognizant is intuition. When you just know, it's an innate knowing that this is done. This is over. I've learned the lesson. There's no need to continue hammering on it. So that's one. Two would be if your relationship with that person drastically changes. So if there is that kind of addictive feeling with them, that maybe that feeling completely goes away, right? So that would be one thing. Or maybe like you had a romantic relationship and then all of a sudden it just kind of like fizzles out and you become best friends, or just like acquaintances or something, or if you're like talking every day and then all of a sudden you just stop and both of you just fall off the face of the earth, right? So those would all be indicators as well that karmic debt is cleared. Basically, you know that karmic debt is cleared if things are shifting and it feels like there's a natural end or an abrupt, really random end to something. And usually it's that way. It's super random, super abrupt, and you're like, wait, this is weird. What happened? Like, what just happened? This is really bizarre. So yeah, that's my answer. I hope that answered that person who emailed that to me today. So I'm noticing there are quite a few other people online right now. So thank you so much for coming and hopping in and joining in. I am doing this Q&A, so you can feel free to ask questions live. Just pop them into your comment box on Facebook or Instagram, whatever platform you're on, and I will get to them as soon as I'm done answering the question before. Cool. So it doesn't look like, let me check Instagram real quick. No, it doesn't look like we have any questions just yet. So I will move on to the next anonymous question. And for those of you, just a reminder, who weren't on here earlier, if you want to ask an anonymous question, you're welcome to do so by DMing me, PMing me, or emailing doorwaytoself@gmail.com. You can also like do it super anonymously by just entering your email and not your name on my contact form. If you go to doorwaytoself.com and click on the contact tab, you should be able to fill that form out and then it'll just come to me randomly. So there's that, and those questions will be answered at the next Q&A, which is April 29th at 8 p.m. So let's see what's next on the list. I love this, y'all. Okay. What is the difference between clairsentience and clairempathy? This is a little bit contradictory, so I'm going to be sharing my personal view on this. And my personal view comes from a lot of hours spent in an office with a lot of different people who exhibit these traits. That has just really helped me to flesh out and affirm for me that these are two completely different things. They're related and they can obviously be very easily confused with each other, but they're different. I've definitely seen some people with one and not the other. There are some people with the school of thought that they are exactly the same, that clairempathy is a facet of clairsentience. So kind of like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square type thing, right? So like you can be clairsentient but not clairempathic, or you can be clairempathic, but you can't, wait. You can be clairempathic and be clairsentient, but you don't have to be clairsentient, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying, I hope. Anywho, so the point is, here's why I think it's different. So to me, the definition of clairsentience is the ability, when you break the word down, it literally means clear sense. Okay, so it's the ability to psychically sense things energetically, right? So you are feeling the way that other energies interact with your energy, interact with your frequency, with your sphere, right? So it's similar to, like, if we were to bring this into physical terms, right? It's similar to if you were a note on an instrument, and the note next to it was played, they would vibrate next to each other and you would feel that vibration, right? So if you're playing a guitar and you play one string, you feel the vibration of that string. When you play a second string, you feel the vibration between the two strings. So that's what clairsentience is. You are feeling your vibration and how it's interacting with others' vibrations, whether that's the vibration of another person, an animal, a room, an object. It can be anything, because everything's vibrating. Everything has some sort of frequency. So it's really about just you're able to pick that up, and acknowledge it in your sphere. Maybe not consciously. And a lot of people who come into my office and do psychic diagnostics, they're like, wait, that's actually a thing? Like, this is why I feel so anxious? Like, this is why I have so much anxiety? I'm like, yeah, because you are literally just like feeling all of the buzzing everywhere all the time, right? So from other things that are not you. Sometimes clairsentience can be internalized, and this is why people say that it's the same thing as being clairempathic. So we'll talk about what clairempathic is in a second, but with clairsentience, it can be internalized in terms of like we can feel it like on the inside of our tummy, or like our heart might start palpitating a little bit more, or you know, maybe a headache, things like that, that are like very somatic things that are extremely, like, they're very physical things that we're feeling. We're internalizing that energy. Okay. Here's where the difference is. When someone is clairempathic, or the more colloquial version of the term is an empath, right? When somebody is an empath, it means that they are taking on the emotions, let me rephrase that. They are taking on the energy of another person as though it is their own, and it is manifesting the exact same way within them as it was in that other person, right? So with clairsentience, it's kind of more like if another person's like really angry and they're giving a lot of energy off, right? And they're just like throwing their crap everywhere energetically. If you're clairsentient, and you're somebody who internalizes that clairsentience, you might start feeling it as anxiety, or your skin prickling, or weak in the knees, or something like that, right? It's a very somatic reaction to another person's emotions or something. Whereas with clairempathy, if a person's really angry and they're throwing all that around, you would start feeling really angry. And it might not be right at that moment for either one, right? We have precognitive abilities, cognitive abilities, and postcognitive abilities. Precognitive abilities happen before a situation happens, right? So that'd be, you'd be feeling the anger. If you're an empath, you'd be feeling the anger before that person got angry. And then when they got angry, you could be like, oh, okay, that's why I was feeling that. Cognitive would be feeling it in the moment. So they get angry and then you start feeling angry, right? Like right at the same time. Like as soon as they start feeling angry, you start feeling angry. And then the third one, post-cognitive, would be feeling it after the fact. And this is where a lot of people who have clairsentience or clairempathy get tripped up, because they're like, you know, it's like days later or hours later after they've been with this person, they're like, why am I feeling so pissed about life? And then they have to think back and be like, oh, wait, Freddie was really, really angry yesterday morning, and this feels like his stuff. And then letting that go. So that's the difference between clairsentience and clairempathy. With clairempathy, you are able to take on another person's stuff as though it is your own. You are experiencing the exact same thing as that other person. If they broke their leg, your leg starts hurting like a bitch, right? If you're clairsentient and they broke their leg, you might be feeling it in your elbow, or you might just get really anxious, or I don't mean to say just, you might get really anxious, you know, something like that, where it's manifesting in a different way. That's my answer to that question. Hey, Jenny, thanks for coming on. Let's see who else. Okay, we still don't have any questions. Wow, you are quiet today. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question. As always, if you have a question at any point in time, just pop it into the chat box and I will get to it. So yeah, let's see. I am seriously afraid right now. I think I'm under psychic attack. What do I do? I'm seeing your comment, Katie. I will get to you in a second. So, okay. I'm seriously afraid right now. I think I'm under psychic attack. What do I do? This has been a theme this last week. Oh my gosh, for the last 3 weeks, really, leading up to that full moon and then after the full moon. When I tell people who have not experienced psychic attack that psychic attack is real, they laugh or they're confused and they're like, well, what? Like, what is that? Like, what exactly, like, what does that mean? And in all honesty, until you've experienced psychic attack for real, there is no explaining it. The closest I can get is if you guys have ever seen like a horror movie with like ghosts and stuff and like you can empathize with that character, right? When like the ghost is behind them and they start getting chills and like things in their room are like moving around. It's almost like a haunting of your sphere. That's what a psychic attack is. It is very real. It is very scary. The only way that it can be dangerous is if you allow it to be dangerous. So here's the thing. People who use psychic attack are thriving off of your fear. That's the only reason psychic attack can work, is because you are able to feel fear. What happens is that being in the midst of it, it's really hard to get away from that fear because you're feeling it so constantly and consistently, because they're also blasting you with fear while they're blasting you with whatever else you're feeling, right? And especially if you are an extremely energetically sensitive person, you're going to pick that up like that, right? So here's what you do. The first thing is to set boundaries. Well, I take that back. The first thing is to stand in your power. That's the first thing, okay? To check in with yourself and say, where am I in my body? Where do I exist in this thing? Where do I exist to myself, right? Thinking about some of your most powerful moments in your life where you felt on top of the world and bringing those memories back into your body and really feeling that power in yourself. Some people like to do breath work or movement work or something like that, where they're able to like really feel themselves integrating back in. If that's something, or stuff with sound, if those are things that work for you, do them. You can do all three of them at the same time for all I care, right? It's whatever works to get you into yourself. I personally have a practice of that every morning when I wake up and every night before I go to bed. No excuses. And after every single client. Every single client, no matter who it is, no matter how docile the conversation was, I don't care. I will do it after every single client because I want to make sure that I am authentically myself. Okay? This is super important. We just talked about clairsentience and clairempathy. This is super, super important for people who have one or both of those abilities. Okay? So that's first. Get into your power. Stand in yourself. Real strong, real powerful. Get into yourself, stand in yourself. The second step is to set boundaries, okay? If you're someone who's not good at setting boundaries, this is going to be an edge for you. And the psychic attack may last longer, but that's okay, because it's your chance to learn the lesson of how to say, this is not okay, stop. And that's what you need to do. You can obviously also ask for help too. A second set of eyes never hurts. I occasionally have people come in to see me to help with cord cutting or getting rid of other people's energies or whatever. And I'm happy to help you do that too, if that's something that you feel you need a second set of eyes or just affirmation or to feel safe while you're doing it. Because a lot of the time too, when you're under psychic attack, it can feel like, like they'll scare you out of out of doing anything. Like they'll make you feel like if you were to do anything to get rid of them, that everything would be stripped from you, or that you would die, or, you know, something that's really horrific. So if you feel like you need safe hands and safe eyes to go to, I would really recommend that. The only thing is just check your practitioner out first. Make sure that they have ethics. Make sure that they, you know, don't mix their energy with your energy, that they know what they're doing. Really ask questions. It never hurts. Ask them what their philosophy is, what their ethics are. My legs keep falling asleep. So that's my answer to that. I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in right now. Okay, Katie, I said I'd get to you first. Let's see. Hi, anything for me from spirit, please? So I know this is really confusing. I've been trying to figure out how to rework the title of this event. It says live psychic Q&A, and a lot of people get confused and think this is a gallery reading, which would be like me just live reading people. That's not what this is. This is a psychic educational session. So what that means is I'm educating people who come to this platform and helping to answer whatever questions that they may have about the psychic realm in terms of like what their own abilities are, because everybody has psychic abilities. That's an innate thing. You know, or like numerology, astrology, energy work, ethics, stuff like that. So that's what I'm here for. But what I do have to say is if you are, you're asking me for connection to your spirit, and what that tells me is that your spirit, okay, I'm actually channeling this for you so that this works out in your favor. This is not a normal thing. Your spirit is asking to connect to you. Like, I'm going to start crying. Like, this is really visceral. You are so disconnected from yourself, and you are screaming to connect to yourself really loudly, really clearly. If you don't know how to do that, there's a lot of information in these videos that I post for free. And you're welcome to scroll through. I post them on YouTube with all of the questions and minutes at the bottom in the description. And please go through and look and see if there are questions about like how to connect to yourself or your true essence or whatever it is, because you are really deeply craving this. Your soul is deeply craving to connect to you. So thank you for asking that. And I wish you the best of luck. Oh, I'm hearing like a high pitch right now. You are so welcome. I love you, girl. Thank you. So many things. Yeah, you're going to be all right. I feel it. It's all going to be good. All right. Let's see. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Alex. Chris says, sorry, I'm new to some of this, but I'm wondering how these moon events affect people, and does it affect everyone the same? Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, and thanks for coming. Welcome. And welcome to any other newbies who are here. It's so awesome. So awesome. And old bees. It's so awesome to have you guys here. Seriously. I really love doing these. It fills my heart. So, I'm glad you guys can walk away with some stuff from this. So, all right. Whew. And then I'm also seeing that Lindsay has a question here too on Instagram as well. So I will get to you afterwards as well. So I see you. No worries. Okay. So, how do these moon events affect people, and does it affect everyone the same? Okay. So I talk about this in my Magic in the Moon workshop a lot. And basically, oh my gosh, I seriously talk about this for like an hour in a workshop. I might do that workshop live minus the ritual portion at some point as well. Or not live, but like in a Zoom platform or something, just so you guys on the internet can have some access to that as well. Okay, so the moon controls the tides. Right? I'm just going to give you one little itty bitty example. The moon controls us on so many levels, physically, hormonally, emotionally. And yes, that goes for men too. It's not just a female thing, right? We associate like, oh, moon time, or like you get your period or ovulate with the full or new moon. Like it's the same way for men as well. Actually, men's sperm count goes up during the full moon. It's a thing. Anywho, regardless, it affects our hormones. It affects us like physically, how we feel in our body. It affects us emotionally. So, yeah, I mean, all of those levels. But if you think about it, the moon affects the tides, right? It rules the oceans. When the moon is full, you'll see the tides of the ocean go out way, way further and come in way, way further. It's super drastic, out and in, rather than the new moon where it's just like maybe a couple feet or a couple yards in either direction. So when you think about the ocean, it's made of salt water, right? And we, as human beings, are over 70% salt water. So when you think about how the moon's magnetism has effect over the tides in that way, and then how it has effects over us in the same way, right? That's just one of the ways that it has effect on us. So yeah, energetically, like emotionally, we might just be all over the place. And then also like also spiritually too, like there's a huge history of humans with the moon. I talk in my workshop about how we're of the same place. Like we're both children of the earth, right? That sounds super cheesy, but like literally we come from the earth. We eat the earth, we drink the earth, we sleep on the earth, we come from the earth. This is earth, right? And the moon was literally broken off the earth and thrown into space. So like we're both, and held in by the gravitational pull of the earth, right? So we're all held in by the gravitational pull of the earth, and we're both of the earth. So it's kind of like our like little sky sibling. So that's, yeah, I mean, it's just an innate connection, and we all feel that psychically on some level. You'll see prison rates go up, like incarceration and arrest rates go up during the full moon. Hospitalization rates go up during the full moon. I mean, it's just like, it's been scientifically studied. It's an actual thing that's really cool. Anywho, does it affect everyone the same? No. Some people are drastically more affected by the moon than others. And that a lot of that has to do with your astrological chart. Not even one sign, but like your whole chart. And every single moon is different, right? So depending on what astrological sign the moon is in at any given time, it may affect you completely differently than another moon, and it may affect somebody else completely differently than it affects you. Also, just like the phases and the cycles might affect people differently. I talk in my class about how the new moon, or how being born, whatever moon phase you're born on, might affect you differently as well. So if you were born on, let's say, like a waning crescent, then maybe during the waning crescent phase, you might feel like really internal and like close to yourself, and maybe a lot of newness or something, where someone else might feel that on the full moon if they were born on the full moon. Or it might be opposite too, like they might be feeling like, hello world, whatever. So I hope that answers your question. So Alex says, hi, I love what you said about psychic attack. I love you. You're an awesome lady. Okay, let's see. All right. Lindsay, what is an energetic attachment? If you have time, someone told me I have one, but several people prior have noticed it. Entity attachment. Okay. I love this question. So I have a question back for you, and you can answer it or not. It's totally up to you. It's more a posed question to the public. And the question is, who told you you have an entity attachment? This is a strategy that, oh my gosh, this is blood boiling. There there are a lot of practitioners out there who are no good, right? They're extremely manipulative. They're very power driven and power hungry. And so they will tell you, oh, you have an entity attachment. It's this mysterious thing, and we're going to have to work together to get over it. And, oh, you're in danger, and let me help you. And so it automatically puts them in a power position and you in a fear position. That is so ridiculously dangerous. I'm going to scream. It pisses me off. If you're somebody who does this, check yourself. Because sometimes it's an ignorant thing. I used to do that when I was a teenager, and I was power tripping on like, oh, I have all of this metaphysical knowledge and I'm going to use it to show how powerful I am. You know, I would totally use that tactic. Oh, the dog's about to go crazy, maybe. No, never mind. That's my grandpa. Okay, we're good. So yeah, it's a huge power tactic to try and like get people to see them, like get people curious about the mystery and the potential danger and, you know, like all of this stuff, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, if it's not a practitioner, is it a friend who's super, super into metaphysics and like thrives off of the fear aspect of it? Because we'll be real here, there's not a lot of great stigma about metaphysics right now. It's like everything you see on TV is like horror movies, or if it's not horror, it's like Charmed or something where, you know, like you have the good witches, but they're like constantly fighting evil. So there's this stigma that when we come into this realm, we're going to be working with darker forces. And that's not necessarily true. If you're going to be like a fabulous human being, well, I shouldn't state it that way because you already are a fabulous human being, every single one of you. But if you're really trying to step up, right, then it's about fighting the darkness. Well, not even fighting, working through the darkness within yourself. If you're worried about an entity attachment, that's focusing the energy outwards. And that's another reason it's a strategy for people who are in power in this line of work, or just in general, because it's taking you outside of yourself to focus on something that's not you. So there's that. Let's see. The person explained how to remove it, but also offered their services if needed, to not get a negative vibe. Yeah, and sometimes we can get that with ignorant practitioners as well, right? So if all you're introduced to is like looking for things like that, like looking for an entity attachment of some sort, or looking for the mystery in things or whatever, like sometimes people, I find that a lot of practitioners will say that there's an entity attachment when really it's just like a shadow aspect of yourself that you're needing to work through, or it's a karmic attachment. We talked about that in the beginning of this session, right? So it might be something that you're just attached to somebody else in that capacity, and you're needing to work through that karmic debt or cut those cords, or things like that. So there's also that. Now my uncle's here. Okay, the dog might go crazy, but he's also passed out behind me, so maybe not. Oh, nope, he's up and he's barking. Okay, hey, bud. I'm so sorry. Hey, Matt, come on. I'm gonna let him out. I'll be back. Okay, there you go. I really apologize if that was super, super loud. He gets really excited about things. Oh, hi. Thanks for coming on. Okay, so anywho, where was I? Yeah, it's just, blah, that dog really distracted me. That makes sense. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, the other thing is it could be psychic attack as well. So if you are under psychic attack and somebody's like, oh, you have an entity attachment, it could just be like psychic attack as well. And we went through how to do that too. The other thing too is it could actually legitimately be an entity, like legitimately. Normally, entity attachments happen internally. I've rarely seen them externally. So if an entity is going to go as far as to attach to you, normally they're going to like actually go into your physical body. And I'm not saying like an exorcist type thing, right? Like I'm not saying they take you over. It's a lot more subtle than that. It's like if you're an empath, right? So you're feeling people's emotions as though they're your own. It makes it really easy for these entities to like come in, latch on, and like not necessarily take you over, but like slowly push themselves into you and integrate with you so that they're able to control your actions a little bit. I'm speaking from experience. That was my story for 6 years of my life. I had a dude living inside of me. I'm not afraid to talk about it. And I knew he was there. And that's the thing, is most of the time people know they're there. Like, and those entities will come in extremely manipulatively. This guy consistently told me that he was making me more powerful, that I was better with him in me, that there was no way I was going to accomplish anything without him, that my ultimate power was going to come from joining forces with him. Like all of this stuff that as a 16-year-old, you're like, oh my gosh, like he's right because society has told me I'm nothing, right? Because society tells us we're not allowed to be powerful by ourselves. Like, God forbid we're powerful by ourselves. And so that can be a really appealing thing. And a lot of entities will thrive off of that. But if that's the case, you'll know that that thing is there. Let me see if I have anything else. Let's see. I can relate to it as a shadow aspect that I still need to resolve or is holding me back in some old patterns. Thanks so much for sharing that, Lindsay. I really appreciate that. Yeah, totally. And a lot of the time practitioners will mistake that for sure, because people are not used to focusing on the person. People are not used to focusing on like, oh, maybe that's actually their thing that they need to work through. Let's see. Kelly says, and I think this is going to be the last question I'm able to take. Kelly says, how does your moon sign affect you if it's the opposite of your sun? For example, I am Cancer sun, Capricorn moon, born on a full moon. So yeah, if your moon sign is opposite your sun sign, it automatically means that you were born on the full moon. Because when you look at the way that the moon and the sun work, in order for the moon to be fully illuminated, it has to be exactly opposite it in the sky, which means it's going to be in exactly the opposite sign. Your sun sign is in charge of ruling your personality, right? It's how the world views you. It's what you put out into the world. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to use the examples you gave me. Your Cancer sun. So the world views you as somebody who's very quiet, who's very introverted, who's extremely sensitive, who's very caring and compassionate, maybe a little bit maybe a little bit hard to read or fearful of other people completely seeing them, etc., etc. So that would be your sun. And then your moon sign is your emotions, right? So we talked about the moon ruling our emotions, and that's exactly it, right? So this is the lens through which you view how others are emoting. It's the lens through which you view how you emote, how you handle emotions, deal through emotions, work through emotions, all of that stuff, right? So as a Capricorn, you'd be like super high and super low, lots of highs and lows. Again, another sign that is wildly overdiagnosed with bipolar disorder. Okay, so lots of highs and lows. Trying to find, right, because it's the mountain goat is the symbol, right? So you're constantly trying to like get to the top of the mountain and then shooting back down. So there's that. There's also a grounded sense to it as well. It might be really fear-based if you don't feel like there's a sense of security. As far as how it affects, and lots of planning. Planning makes you feel safe. As far as it being opposite, it doesn't really do anything. It's just an aspect to who you are. It's just another facet of what makes you you. What makes you uniquely you. So that's it. Okay, maybe I do have time for another one. Thank you so much for asking that, Kelly. Hey, Carla. Hey, Emily. Okay, so let's see. what is the difference between distinguishing between clairaudience and listening to an entity? So clairaudience this is a great question. So clairaudience is the psychic sense of hearing. It literally means clear hearing. If you want to learn more about it, I actually just posted a blog post about it a couple days ago. What is clairaudience? How does it affect you? How can it be misinterpreted as a mental illness? Or turn into a mental illness. So you can check that out at doorwaytoself.com/blog. But in the meantime, clairaudience is clear hearing. So if you're able to hear an entity, it means you're experiencing clairaudience. You can experience clairaudience to hear entities, to hear spirits, to hear your higher self, to hear universe, to hear God, whatever you believe in, I don't care, to hear spirit guides, to hear your ancestors, to hear your internal voice, your intuition, random songs, pitches, all sorts of stuff. So clairaudience is literally just the ability to hear energy, to hear energetically. Thanks for asking that. Kelly says, thank you for the insight. You're so welcome. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. If you guys are interested in any future events, I know I got this event late up on Facebook. I couldn't believe I didn't create it. Oh my gosh. I'm in charge of too many things, you guys. So the next one to put on your calendar, April 29th at 8 p.m. It is a Monday. I will see you there. I'm going to create the event in the next couple days so that you know it's happening. But that's a thing. Also, I always send out about all upcoming events, whether they're workshops, online events, lives, new YouTube videos, anything like that. I always and blog posts, and I also do like a weekly psychic energy update and all of that stuff. If you sign up for my email, for the weekly email, and you can do that by going to doorwaytoself.com. When you go there, it will be a little box that comes up. It says everything you're going to get, and you just pop your email in there and click subscribe. That's it. Also there, you can find my services. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, you can find my blog if you want to read any of the articles that I mentioned today as well. If you are watching on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, Doorway to Self. If you're watching on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram at Doorway to Self. I do a lot more kind of like posting on Instagram, but I do occasionally post on Facebook as well, and all of my events are on there too. So thank you so much for tuning in, all of you. Thank you for all of the incredible questions you asked. And I look really forward to seeing you at the end of next month. And I'm sending you so much love. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. All right. Again, my name is Rachel Leah Gerson, and Doorway to Self is where I'm at. All right. Love you guys.